Have you ever been in a moment where someone said something so hurtful, so uncalled for, that your hands started shaking? You rehearsed 10 different comebacks in your mind, but deep down, your heart wasn't in any of them. I remember one evening, I was sitting in my car after a long day, and a text came through. Someone I trusted deeply had said something behind my back. Not just careless words, but words soaked in betrayal. The words soaked in betrayal. My whole body tensed. I wanted to scream, defend, explode, but instead, I turned off the engine, leaned back, and whispered to myself, "This is not mine to fix." And that night, I let silence hold me. I let karma walk in quietly and take a seat where my anger wanted to sit. This isn't a speech about passivity. It's about power, the kind of power that sits in the quiet, the kind of strength that doesn't always show up in words, but in breath. If this speaks to your heart, take a moment, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it forward. Vulnerability is contagious, and your one small action might be someone else's turning point. There's a specific kind of ache that comes when someone lies about you. It's not just about the untruth itself. It's about the betrayal underneath it. The knowing that someone took your name, your character, your trust, and bent it into a shape that never belonged to you. And the worst part, they did it to feel bigger, to seem more important, more powerful, more in control. I remember a moment not too long ago. I was walking into a room where I knew someone had twisted my story. My stomach dropped. You know that feeling? Like you're being watched. And even though I had done nothing wrong, I felt like I was shrinking. My mind raced with all the things I could say. How I could prove the truth, defend myself, fix the damage. I had the evidence. I had the words. But something inside me whispered, "This is not your fight. This is their reflection, not yours." Because when someone lies about you, especially someone close, your instinct is to shout the truth from the rooftop. You want justice. You want people to see what really happened. But here's the hard and holy truth. The people who love you, really love you, don't need a presentation. They don't need exhibits or defense. They've already chosen to believe in you because of how you show up every day, not because of what someone says in a moment of insecurity. Silence in this space doesn't mean you're accepting the lie. It means you're trusting something deeper. It means you're not letting your peace be dragged through someone else's chaos. Because if you do respond, if you fight fire with fire, suddenly you're standing in a war you never even started. And you lose something much more valuable than your reputation. You lose your center. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them sit in the story they've created. Because while they're busy performing, you're busy becoming. The truth is like gravity, quiet, consistent, unshakable. You don't need to scream it. You just need to live it. And karma, she doesn't need a calendar. She doesn't need an invitation. She shows up exactly when the lesson is ready to be taught. So stay rooted, stay kind, stay silent. Not because you're weak, but because you know the truth doesn't need to shout to be heard. It's one of the most confusing things in the world to be mocked for trying to become a better version of yourself. You decide to take care of your body and someone says, "Who do you think you are now?" You set a boundary and they roll their eyes. You start healing, learning, speaking up, and suddenly the same people who once cheered for you start whispering behind your back. They'll say, "You've changed." Like that's something to be ashamed of. But what they're really saying is, you're no longer fitting into the box I built for you. See, growth threatens people who aren't ready to face their own reflection. Your light, it reveals their shadows. Your courage to break cycles, to outgrow dysfunction, to stop laughing at the things that hurt you, it makes them uncomfortable because it challenges their version of normal. And when you start growing, really growing, you'll notice something. The jokes stop being funny. The rooms you used to feel safe in feel smaller. People you used to feel seen by now look at you like you're a stranger. And that hurts. Let's not pretend it doesn't. It stings to be laughed at for trying, for reading books instead of gossiping, for choosing therapy over denial, for healing instead of hiding. But here's the sacred truth. People who mock your growth are often mourning their own stagnation, and in those moments, your silence isn't about pride, it's about preservation. It's about choosing not to water yourself down just to make others comfortable again. You don't need to explain your growth to anyone who hasn't watered your soul in the process. You don't need to shrink back into old wounds just so someone else doesn't feel insecure around your healing. The path to becoming more of who you really are, it's often a lonely road. But it's never the wrong one. Let them mock, let them laugh, let them misunderstand. Their laughter won't echo in the life you're building. Their sarcasm won't carry weight in the peace you're creating. Karma has a way of showing people the cost of staying stuck. It's subtle, it's quiet, but it's real. And one day, when they're still standing in the same pain, telling the same jokes, and you've moved on, whole, healed, and unbothered, your silence will speak louder than any defense ever could. Ha, aha. Silence and suffering. Silence and suffering. Ha, ha. Silence and suffering. Ha, 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 ha. Your silence will speak louder than any defense ever could. So keep growing, keep rising. There's a grief that doesn't get enough space in our culture. The kind that comes not from romantic heartbreak, but from being betrayed by someone you called a friend. That kind of pain is quiet but cruel. It doesn't shatter your heart all at once. It chips away at it slowly, one memory at a time. You remember the late night talks, the laughter, the loyalty you believed was mutual. You replay those moments and ask yourself, was any of it real? And that's the thing. When a friend betrays you, when they turn cold or speak about you behind your back, or disappear when you needed them the most, there's a deep, soul-level ache that no apology can truly fix. And your first reaction is to reach for understanding. You want to confront them, hear their side, make them see what they've done. You want them to feel the same weight in their chest that you carry in yours. But here's where silence becomes sacred, because sometimes closure doesn't come from conversation. It comes from clarity, from realizing that the person who hurt you may never be able to give you what you need. Not the apology, not the explanation, not the awareness. And waiting for that can trap you in a loop of expectation that only deepens the wound. I remember sitting across from a friend I once considered family. They had broken a deep trust, and yet there they were, casual, almost dismissive, treating the rupture like a ripple. In that moment, I realized something profound. I could spend hours trying to make them get it, or I could quietly accept that they won't. And I could choose myself. I could choose peace over performance. Sometimes silence is not just protection, it's preservation. It's honoring your heart by not dragging it through another conversation with someone who wasn't listening the first time. It doesn't mean you don't hurt. It means you're not handing your pain to someone who mishandled your trust. And karma? Oh, she has a way of showing people exactly what they lost. Not through punishment, but through absence, through the undeniable feeling that something good is gone, and it won't come back. The absence of your friendship, your loyalty, your light, that becomes the lesson. Let them sit with that. Let the silence echo. Let karma handle the space where your voice used to live. You go where your spirit is safe, where your heart is held with care, not convenience. You don't need to fight for a seat at a table you built for someone who left without a word. Walk away, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. There's a particular sting that comes when someone tries to humiliate you in front of others. It's sharp, sudden, and disorienting. You might be sitting in a meeting, at a family dinner, or scrolling through a comment section, and then, out of nowhere, someone says something that cuts. Not a mistake, not a slip of the tongue. A calculated moment meant to diminish you. A jab dressed up as a joke. A smirk hiding a deeper intention. You feel it instantly. Your body tightens, your face burns, your throat closes up. 1,000 responses flash through your mind, each one faster and sharper than the last. You want to defend yourself, to clap back, to rise to the moment and make them feel what they just made you feel. But here's the truth no one tells us enough. Just because someone puts you on display doesn't mean you have to perform. Silence in moments of public disrespect is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's choosing not to pour your energy into a spectacle that was never about truth, but control. Because when someone tries to embarrass you in front of others, it's rarely about you. It's about their need to dominate the room, to shift attention, to feel powerful by making someone else feel small. I've been there. I remember standing in a room full of people I admired, and someone threw a comment that was meant to cut me down. Everyone laughed. For a split second, I questioned my worth. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to win. But then something inside me said, don't shrink, don't swing, just stay still. And I did. I stayed silent, not because I didn't have something to say, but because I realized the battle was beneath me. Because when someone tries to drag you into their storm, the greatest power you can exercise is refusing to go. People remember how you carry yourself more than what you say. They remember the grace in your restraint, the strength in your stillness, the dignity in your silence. And the beautiful thing about karma is that she doesn't play to the crowd. She doesn't clap, she watches. And she remembers. Eventually, the person who saw attention through your humiliation will find themselves exposed in their own emptiness. Because if someone needs to dim your light to feel seen, it only means theirs was never that bright to begin with. So breathe. Rise. Don't let your self-worth be reduced to someone else's insecurity, masquerading as humor or dominance. Your silence is not an absence of power. It's the presence of wisdom. It's a message louder than words. I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to you. Let karma deal with their need to be cruel. Silence is not giving up, is not retreating or rolling over. Sometimes silence is sacred. It's where you let the universe breathe on your behalf, where you let karma do the talking while you do the healing. You don't need to fight every battle with words. You don't need to convince, convert, or control. You only need to be true. So the next time someone tries to pull you into the mud, smile softly, stand tall, and say, "This one's not mine. I'll let karma handle it." And then walk away, not in silence, but in power.